Yeah.
Okay,
Eric got a
you're
second,
on.
we can look down.
Okay,
You're
all
on.
right. Thanks everybody for coming. I know it's, traffic's miserable, but I appreciate the effort. We have one new member. Could you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Doug Porter. I'm retired military, currently work at the VA. He showed me about a couple weeks ago a little bit, but I'm more into like making boxes and furniture. I teach myself at home, but this is like the only thing I could find, so I was like, why not learn this too?
It's fun, it's fun.
We don't charge more for the AC except for
Yeah.
Yeah, well, welcome, glad to have you here. We now have large t-shirts in stock if anybody needs those. We were out of those, but we do have about 142 extra, extra large if anybody wants those. I don't know why we ended up so much. No, we have so many. And as you can see, I'm modeling the new club polo shirt. Those are available for, thank you. They're available for,
Catalog. Do you have any small?
no, you can order, it has about 20 colors to pick from. And you tell me the size, there's no minimum to, you pay online, $35, and I'll get it to you. We've got the first meeting on YouTube, anybody see that? Okay.
Yes.
And I thought that went well. I got a lot of good feedback from people, so I'm glad, to see it. I can't be here for the meetings. And so we'll continue doing that. The Edison Estates, we, as most of you know, we were, picked up some blue mayo from Edison Estates, and we're making items, and we're taking to the Edison Estates to sell, and the proceeds go to the club. Right now it's the off season, so they don't expect to sell much until, the fall. We took them like about 6 bowls and about probably 20 pens or something like that, because I just took another 9. And they don't want anything else until, they start selling. So if you have anything you want, bring it to me, and I'll price it, and when they call and say, hey, I need a couple more things, I'll take them in, and then once a month, we get a check, it goes to the club.
They keep 50%.
They keep 50%, which is normal consignment. If you go to any retail, they're gonna mark it up either 100 or 120 or 130%. So that's normal, they have all this stuff to do. Larry, Mr. Treasurer, you wanna come up here where I'm standing and give the treasurer
Yes.
report?
Okay. I gotta hold it up.
We're broke.
No.
Looking for my glasses that are on my head.
Okay. Mr. Treasurer.
Let me find it. Okay.
Talk to the camera.
Okay, our bank balance this month is $7,734 and change. We got $78.75 in dues from new members, $75 we brought in from the raffle last month, and sold $85 worth of goods. That have been t-shirts and bulldogs. Our expenses were a little high for a normal month, but we
That
have,
was me.
yeah, we bought a lot of stuff. We had $469 for shop supplies. I guess that includes some wood also. And $364 for the t-shirts and other polo shirts that we bought. Then our normal $35 for QuickBooks and Affinity paid another $872. So total expenses were $877. So we definitely were on a deficit last month, but we still have a bank balance $7,700. So we're still doing good.
We're still good. Okay, let's do some show and tell. I forgot to start with that. Juan, do you want to come up?
Let's before let's do John, because he's not at the computer.
Okay.
John, we'll talk about
This, whoever came to the demo last month, This is the finished product. That's the bowl. I have 3 other shots of it, so it maybe be nice. There's the bottom. That's the Blue Maho also.
Where's the camera?
John,
Oh, okay,
oh, you want a picture out there? Okay.
yeah, easy.
That's the one you turned last demo, right?
Like, that's the last demo.
What kind of finish did you end up on that?
That's depth.
That's
Gloss.
lacquer.
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 Lacquer, yeah.
Very nice.
But it came out pretty good. And that's what it's in, Edison right now.
So what's Edison selling those for? Did you see what they put a price on?
Well, I priced them,
Okay.
so I priced them anywhere from $65 to $80.
That's
I figured any more than that, they just aren't gonna go.
Because they're gonna double that, so I
Pens.
might pay $180 for that.
Yeah.
The
And,
pens are $39.95.
Which we'll get
What's
20
that?
back.
$39.95 for the pens.
So
They
we'll-
actually said they had a Turner in there once before, and his pens were nothing special, and it was $60.
Yeah,
And they sold a lot of them.
yeah.
So they were thrilled at $39.95. They felt like they could move a lot.
And Dan and I are donating the money that we're using to buy the slim one, no, thin line, what's the?
Fun line.
Pardon?
Fun line.
No, no. Anyway, we're using the one that's,
It's this
No.
one. No, it's this one.
it's trim line.
Trim line.
Trim line, yeah.
It's nicer than the one, that has a little tiny thing in
Okay.
it.
Well, you
I mean,
wanna
they're
come
only
up
like-
here and,
I think they're under $3 for it.
yeah, right now, they'll probably go up to 6 in a while.
This is a piece of camphor that Dan was gracious enough to provide me, and it's turned end grain. This is one of you guys are on the Facebook club place. This is the one I accidentally glued to my lathe. It must have had like some kind of, I can't even see it, so it must have some little void in there. And when I finished pouring the epoxy up here, I poured the rest of the bottom, and I just let it sit on my lathe. In the morning when I went to get it, it was stuck to my lathe. I moved my lathe trying to grab it. I was lucky enough to get it to pop off the lathe, but then I had a faceplate, so now I was glued for the faceplate, and then all the epoxy was in the threads. So I had to sit there, clean all the thread out in order to remount it and finish turning. And this piece right here, I don't know if you guys remember, several months ago, Frank Johansson gave a demo. He was using inlays from guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's where the opening is on the guitar?
yeah, he
And where do you-
showed us a
where do
flat piece.
Where do you buy it?
I bought it at Amazon. It was like $10
Okay.
for that piece. And if it was a little bit, it's just basically it's glued in with CA glue, and then epoxy over it in order to make it a smooth finish. And this is the overall finish is just a polyurethane. And that's inside of it. You'll see the epoxy that I poured in it. They got stuck to my lathe. That's what I'd be want.
You know who sells this stuff is Grizzly for making guitars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen the whole kit. You're right. They sell the
They
whole
might
kits.
even have their own piece.
Yeah, that was like $10 on Amazon, or $9 or something. It was fairly inexpensive. The problem was it comes split. So it's a full circle, it has a split in it. And when I had problems trying to join those two, when I came around and glued it, so I ended up with a little brass, little leaf that I glued in there too to finish it off.
One, how did you control the epoxy from going over the edge of that?
I was stupid,
Is that how you control it?
I didn't think about it. What I did was I taped around it and I poured the epoxy. And I could have just left it back like that and then come back and cut the epoxy and roll the epoxy on the edge. This, I kept going back and forth to my shop until it got real sticky. And then I pulled the tape off and it kind of just laid over by itself, real lazy. But that was a waste of time because I had to come back and cut it anyway once I finished it. So, but yeah, the epoxy, you just cut it with a negative rake scraper or carbide or standard one. If not, it likes to chip out on me a lot. And then it just gets all sanded and sprayed poly. Even over the epoxy, if you sand the epoxy 220, once you put some kind of clear coat on it, it clears back up. It takes the cloudiness away. And this is an experimental piece. This is, I was trying to get more like Bill and Bart here. This is end grain mahogany, which I've never turned mahogany end grain. It wasn't that bad. And
Burns it in.
it's got several different techniques. One is obviously the carving on top, carving on the bottom, and some carved out patterns in here, and then it's pyrographed in the black. And then these little, I don't know what to call these in. They're just inserts, dowel inserts. And I just indexed it on the lathe, and I took a drill block. I don't know if you guys know what a drill block is, a guide block. It's like a block of metal or block of plastic, and it has these little hardened steel bushings in it. It's helping you to guide the drill. And I took that and I clamped it onto a boxed tool rest. And I just precisioned the angle, and then you just index it and drill and drill and drill and drill. Then glued in these pieces, and then come back and cut it flush, just to give it these little different features.
What do you use to do the embossing, the carving here?
The carving, Dremel, and then come back with a pyrography pen and make it black. You'll darken it up and make the little doodads in it.
You have a name burner?
Hmm?
You have a name burner?
Yeah. I got one of those cheap name burners you can get them at Amazon or a lot of places. I think they're all made by the same company. It's just basically a piece of brass, and you tell them you pick out the design, and I just heat it with a torch and slam it in there.
Tell me a little bit more about that. That's the question I was gonna ask on your JE. It's burned in with a stamp,
Yeah,
It's like a branding iron.
Branding iron.
branding iron.
and you had them make these.
Yeah, if you go to Amazon or to eBay
Mhm.
or even Pinterest, I think there's several people that sell branding irons. And then you-
Rockler has a brand.
I got one off Etsy,
Yeah,
but you have to be really flat. I can,
yeah.
Yeah, you have to be really flat when you do it.
I can never get that flat, so I just figured out, I just heat the fuck out of it.
No, we're on
Now
camera.
there's no women here, you know, I can talk freely, and just burn the shit out of it. And you'll feel it, it's like an eighth of an inch in there.
You know how many YouTube comments we're gonna get now?
You can buzz that out, but you have to buzz that out. But that's how I do it, so it doesn't matter if it's off or not, just get it really hot and just,
Yeah, I got
I have a
plug it in.
Ducks Unlimited.
oh yeah, no, I use a torch.
Those-
A picture of the
Yeah, I
Ducks
don't know if those
Unlimited.
get hot enough.
Well, I have
Oh,
a
yeah.
branding
It does,
iron
it does,
that I
yeah.
got from them.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Let's see who else we got. Okay. Larry, is this yours?
Yeah, that little one's mine.
You wanna just come up here and?
Well, it's just I just brought it because of the way it dried. This is
Oh my God.
a piece of young oak that I turned wet, and of course you won't be able to see it in there. But after it dried, it just kind of crushes up, and it's got a very uneven surface. You can see where the grain went together. It's a small crotch piece of oak, yellow, so it's not even dark yet for oak. And that's about it. Just finished with some oil and got the live edge bark on it. And that's about it.
Really neat surface.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta do it with wet wood, and just the grain just kind of,
John, you wanna come
Precious in.
up?
I guess I have to take my mask on.
That would help.
Doesn't help me. It's the blue mahoe that we've all been talking about. And, I had the limb was coming out at this point, and I cut it in half, and I tried to figure out how to save that. So that's my solution, is to leave it on the surface, and then create a little interest around the rim, and then cut this all out. So to have interest inside, interest on the top, and interest in the back.
How does that wood stand?
Whenever it dries, it's hard as a rock, so it sands very well. Now,
I asked John if that could be a spittoon, and I think he said his wife would kill him if it was made of spittoon.
I'm glad she's not here. First thing she said is, "That's mine." This is also blue mahoe. It has the same type of thing, but it was really cracked. You can, I don't know if you want to pass it around, but it had very large cracks in it. And I had to redo the center twice because it wouldn't, I couldn't get CA glue to harden, and didn't realize it takes a day to harden. And so I would, in there cutting it out, and it was coming out on the, all over my
You didn't
tools.
use a spray?
I used a spray,
Yeah?
and the surface hardened, but not the back. So if it was that deep, the surface hardened, and then you had that much that came all over you.
You can only do a tiny bit at a time.
Yeah, well, okay. 40 kilo, you wait for a day. And that's, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there it is.
Right.
Yeah, very nice.
That's for Ed, so don't.
So I'll do mine. So I went over to Vaughn's to beg for some wood, and he gave me a beautiful piece of, hey, you want this piece of crotch, mahogany crotch wood? I went, yeah. And so that's what this turned out to be.
Beautiful color.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I finished it with, first I put sanding sealer on it, so because when you do oil, if you do the end grain, it's gonna soak up the oil, and you're gonna get an uneven surface. So I always put Mylan sanding sealer on it, just put a little bit, and I wipe it right off. I don't soak it, but then the oil, I use walnut finishing oil. And when I do that, it stays on surface. And I use Mylan's friction polish on this. I did try using spray lacquer, and it was so horrible that I ended up having to take denatured alcohol and steel wool and take it off and resand it and do it again. I need to practice on a smaller piece.
Yes.
You know, this is,
You need to turn it on your lathe so it constantly goes around, and it spreads it out.
well, it's spray, but yeah,
Yeah, but even spray.
Spray, yeah,
That's when it drip on you.
It's not. Nothing special here with all this beautiful stuff, but just did this morning, a little salt box. And the only thing I think is special about it is it's got kind of a floating bottom, sitting on a little bit of a piece over there, so it's not hitting on the edge.
Yeah.
It has a nice knot in it.
Yeah.
Is that a limb that is?
Yep, just,
is
yeah,
through that?
yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
right,
go
yeah.
dead center because the way it was shaped,
Yeah.
so that's the center right there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like the way you did the base of that with the, that's where you had, right here is where you had your, tin, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it.
You might recognize John's wig stand up there, which was what this started out to be. Until Larry said, they don't like it, it's too small. So I was half done, this was 2 of the Saturdays, 2 weeks apart, and I was half done when he said that. So I thought, oh, great, now what am I gonna do? So I got to thinking, my wife has a little plastic thing like this for all of the necklaces and jewelry. So I just kind of repurposed it.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole bunch of blanks back there, if somebody wants to do something like that. Concave the top, put in rings or whatever. Then I thought, well, she could probably hang some rings, earrings, and then I showed it to her today. And she said, you know, if you put some hooks kind of around, I could put my bracelets on there. So I guess I'm not.
Does she know, does she know you took her jewelry with you?
Yeah, I said, now, there's nothing real valuable there. So, I left some pictures for, if anybody wants to see what I did. Then oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm late. It takes me 20 minutes to get here, but today it took an hour. That diverging diamond was like a race car track after 20 people had crashed. I mean, it took me terrible amount of time. This was the other thing I wanted to mention. I got these at Walmart,
What are they?
anti-fall wipes.
Oh.
If I wipe my mask, my shield, I don't get that dust collection. And so I brought these, I'll leave these here, and if you want to get some for yourself. There's not a lot of them, and I don't know if it's at every Walmart, but this was the one at Colonial and Cypress Lake. And it's in there where they've got tons and tons of just alcohol wipes for glasses, but these are anti-fall. So
I use those
Dryer sheet?
sheets you put in the dryer.
I I tried that, but the smell just, you know, they have a smell, and I couldn't do it. I had to wash it right off.
Well, these are, pass them around, take them, try them. But I'll leave this here, if you wanna find it.
All right, Bill, the piece of the response. Come on over here and be in the camera.
Okay.
Or actually, you
We
can
can
do it
move
there.
it,
You
yeah,
can,
we can move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this piece isn't done yet.
Face it.
And Larry already chewed me out for bringing something that's not turned, but it's part of the whole set. So this is, turned real thin. It's about 2 millimeters.
What kind of wood?
It's sycamore. And,
This for me?
then after it's turned, I put this, what they call sculpt nouveau finish on it, and it's really kind of a neat, what they call a living finish. So it's got pieces of copper. It's a real fine blend of copper that's mixed in resin. You put that on a couple of coats, and then when one coat is wet, you spray it with this chemical, which is some kind of an acid, and it makes a natural aging patina on this. And so it looks, you know, until you touch it, it looks pretty much like metal. And this piece actually is, it's designed after an incense burner, so it's made so that the top is all open so that the smoke would come out. And then the base of it, actually, Bart, a couple of weeks ago, ran some plywood real thin through his
You just lost it.
his planer. And some of it was 2.5 millimeters, some of it was 4.5 millimeters. And so the 2.5 millimeters, I just pierced that all with a dental tool, a high-speed dental tool, and then glued it back onto the piece of the 4.5 millimeter. And then this goes on the coffee table. These are coasters. And again, they look like metal, and when it's done, I'm going to take and pour resin into this pattern in a light green color. So this was really fun. It's only I think my second or third, I don't know, maybe fourth piercing project, but it was very challenging working with a 2.5 millimeter thick piece that's 16 inches across. As soon as I put it down, I always had to have weight on it so it didn't curl up. And then I thought we're having a demonstration tonight on pepper grinders. And I made these about a year or two ago. Joe, our previous president, brought in a pepper grinder. I said, boy, that sounds like a great idea to do a pepper grinder. He didn't do a demonstration, but it just, so what I found very quickly is that most of the time is setting up and undoing and drilling and changing and mounting and going the other way. So I said, well, I think if I'm going to do that, instead of just doing it twice, I'm going to set up a production line. And I did 9 pairs, 18 of these all at once.
Wow.
And believe me, it doesn't take an awful lot longer to do 18 than it would take to do 2. So if you decide to do it, they make great gifts. This wood all came from the same tree from my brother-in-law's house, and I made,
What kind?
this is spalted maple. And I made this carrier, because one thing about these, you know, they leave residue wherever you set them down, so if you have this carrier, it's kind of nice, you set it on the table, and when you're done with dinner, you pick it up, and it's not salt and pepper all over the table. But I think you're using the same mechanism, which is a fabulous mechanism. I can't speak highly enough about it, because you don't have a knob on the top, and it's just a friction fit, and it's a ceramic inside. You can put anything in there. You can put salt, pepper, rock salt, any kind of different herbs and spices you want to put on it. if you do decide to do it, think about if you like, get set up to do it, do a bunch of it, because it's not really all that much more work.
What, where do you get the guts?
I got the guts, I think, on,
In the event, when I sent the email for the event, there's a link to where you can buy those. And when I send out the links to the YouTube videos, I'll include both his instructions, wherever you want. There you are. You're hiding behind the bar. And link to where you can buy those. Okay?
but yeah, they're readily available. But I would recommend, these are more expensive than the other ones, but they're so much better that it's really worth it.
And the look, just the look.
The look is, yeah, it's much better.
Can you adjust the grind on
Yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you'll talk about that. Okay, so let's stop this recording. I'll set up for the demo.